Have you ever been patient with someone for a long time? Maybe one of your employees keeps arriving late. Your neighbor keeps playing loud music. Your internet keeps getting disconnected during important meetings. You stay calm, you forgive them, you give them another chance, and another chance, and another chance. But one day, something happens that finally makes you lose your patience. Americans have a very common expression for this situation. We say, "That's the last straw." Today, I'll teach you what the last straw means, where this idiom comes from, how Americans really use it with real-life examples, and we'll finish with pronunciation practice. Let's get started. So what does the last straw mean? When Americans say, "That's the last straw," we mean that's the final small problem that causes someone to become upset after many previous problems. Usually, the last event isn't the biggest problem. It's simply the final problem that pushes someone over their limit. Think of it like carrying a heavy backpack. You keep adding books. One more book, another book, another book. Finally, you add one tiny pencil and the backpack breaks. The pencil wasn't the biggest problem. It was simply the final thing that caused the break. And that's exactly how the last straw works. The full expression is actually the straw that broke the camel's back. Imagine a camel carrying bundles of straw. You keep adding more straw, the camel keeps carrying it. Then one final piece of straw is added. That tiny piece causes the camel's back to break. Again, it wasn't the biggest piece. It was simply the final one. Over time, Americans shortened the expression to the last straw. Let's look at some real-life situations of how Americans use this idiom. Imagine Lisa. For years, Lisa felt like she was carrying the entire family on her shoulders. She got the kids ready for school every morning. She packed lunches. She helped with homework. She scheduled doctor's appointments. She did the grocery shopping. She cooked dinner. She cleaned the house. Meanwhile, her husband rarely helped. When she asked him to pick up the kids, he often forgot. When she asked him to help with homework, he said he was too tired. When she asked him to help around the house, he promised, but he rarely followed through. Lisa tried to be patient. They talked about it many times. She gave him chance after chance. Then their 15th wedding anniversary arrived. Lisa had planned a special dinner and even arranged for a babysitter. That evening, her husband stayed late with friends and completely forgot about their anniversary. When he finally came home, he didn't even realize what day it was. Lisa looked at him and thought, "This is the last straw." Forgetting their anniversary wasn't the biggest problem in their marriage. It was simply the final event after years of feeling unsupported, unappreciated, and alone. A few months later, they filed for divorce. This example perfectly illustrates the idiom because forgetting the anniversary wasn't what caused the divorce itself. It was the last straw after years of many other problems. Now I want you to imagine Tom. For months, Tom was the employee who could never arrive on time. On Monday, he showed up 10 minutes late. On Tuesday, 15 minutes late. On Wednesday, 20 minutes late with a coffee in his hand. Every time he had an excuse. "Sorry, traffic was terrible. My alarm didn't go off. There was a long line at the coffee shop." His manager tried to be understanding. She gave him warnings. She had private conversations with him. She even adjusted his schedule to help him succeed. But nothing changed. Then, one Friday, the entire team arrived early for an important meeting with a major client. Everyone was there except Tom. The client was waiting. The presentation couldn't start without him because he was responsible for a key section. 10 minutes passed, then 20, still no Tom. Finally, he rushed through the door 30 minutes late, holding a breakfast sandwich and saying, "Sorry, I overslept." The manager looked at him and thought, that was the last straw. Oversleeping that morning wasn't the biggest problem. It was simply the final incident after months of lateness, excuses, and missed opportunities. The following week, Tom was let go. This is a perfect example of the last straw because the employee wasn't fired for being late one single time. He was fired because the final late arrival came after a long pattern of problems. I want you to imagine now that you have had a roommate for almost a year. At first, everything seems fine. But little by little, your roommate's bad habits start driving you crazy. Maybe your roommate leaves their dirty dishes in the sink for days, leaves half-empty soda cans scattered around the living room. Dirty socks appear everywhere, on the couch, under the coffee table, even in the kitchen. Every morning you walk into the bathroom and find wet towels thrown on the floor. Your roommate never takes out the trash, and in fact, he would keep stuffing things into the overflowing trash can until garbage was literally falling onto the floor. You try to be patient. You politely ask him to clean up after himself. His response is always the same. "Yeah, I'll do it later." But later never comes. Then things get worse. He starts eating your food without asking. The milk disappears. The leftovers that you've been saving for lunch mysteriously vanish. Still, you try to keep the peace. One Saturday morning, you wake up excited to make your favorite coffee. You walk into the kitchen, grab the coffee maker, and open the cabinet. The coffee is gone. Your roommate had used the entire bag and left the empty package sitting on the counter. At that moment, you stare at the empty bag and think, this is the last straw. The missing coffee wasn't the biggest problem. It wasn't even close. It was simply the final annoyance after months of messes, broken promises, and disrespect. A few weeks later, you find a new apartment. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. This is the last straw. This is the last straw. This is the last straw. Idioms are one of the fastest ways to take your English to the next level. For more idioms in English, make sure to check out this video.